Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having a great day wherever you are in the universe. Now, as you can see on the wall, we've got a constellation poster. It's actually got all the new constellations on there because at the recent event in Germany, in Cologne, at Gamescom, all the new variants of the constellation was unveiled. Now, I've got totally carried away with constellations, as you will see very shortly. In this episode, I'm going to focus on the actual top of the range constellation, the Constellation Phoenix. Anyway, let's have a look at my hangar full of constellations. Right, let's drive off in my grey cat buggy past my constellations. Now there's a story behind why I've got so many constellations. Now originally I was going to get the constellation Aquila, which I did get. I melted a ship or so and I bought the Aquila. Then I realised that there was a constellation super pack which included all the variants and the 10-inch metal model, and I thought, well, it actually works out cheaper, and I wanted the Phoenix, and instead of paying full price for the Phoenix, I thought it was better value. Anyway, after melting my original constellation, I realised that I couldn't melt my Aquila because I just bought it. So anyway, I paid a little more than what I wanted for the constellation pack, but well, I've not had a holiday for a few years, so now I can basically have a virtual holiday in space with a whole fleet of constellations. Anyway, I will melt the Aquila, the extra one I've got, sometime, and no doubt probably buy some more ships. Anyway, here's the Constellation Phoenix, which is the so-called top of the line variant of the constellations, and it's actually designed or specified in the brochure as a luxury touring ship. Well, the first thing you'll notice about the Constellation Phoenix is its strikingly white colour and its dark nose. Now, I'm not sure whether these will be the finished colours because, well, it's a long way off before we actually get to fly the ship. And the same with the other constellations in my hangar. They're pretty much a murky brown colour. Now I'd like to think that will change, and in a few weeks time or so there's going to be a totally redesign of all the hangars, and we'll take a look then to see if things change with the colours of the ships. They might well do, or we might have to wait a little bit further along down the line and maybe you can have customised colours of the ship. Anyway, getting back to the Constellation Phoenix, some of the changes which have been done to the design of all the constellations is that the little fighter which comes with most of the variants is attached to the back. Now, we've got a Merlin sitting on the back of the Phoenix, where in the finished model there's going to be a ship called the Archimedes, but that's not been built yet, so we have a Merlin there. Now when we get on board, you'll see that the living quarters has now been transferred from the rear of the Constellation to the front, and everything else has been shifted to the back. The access tunnel to the Merlin, which we have on the Phoenix at the moment, you actually gain access to at the rear of the Constellation. Anyway, the Constellation Phoenix does look a nice ship, but when we get on board you'll see that it's not totally there yet. Now I have a theory for this, and it's probably because they was actually still working on the ship in the run up to Gamescom, where they had the absolutely brilliant presentation, and if you go to the Robert Space Industry website, it's worth checking out all the videos from Gamescom. The fantastic Constellation Aquila commercial with the 2001 theme, which is really really very good. Anyway, getting back to the Constellation Phoenix, you'll find that when you get on board, there's a few things which don't actually work. Now, whether that is because they ran out of time, and of course it was the big unveiling at Gamescom for the Constellation, I'm not so sure. That could possibly be. But anyway, as we know with all the ships in Star Citizen, it is pretty much work in progress anyway. Anyway, the Constellation Phoenix is a limited edition ship. I think there's something like 5,000 available. And I believe they're on sale through to about the 25th of August. Now, whether they'll be available again or available in the persistent universe in a couple of years' time, I don't know. But at least you can take a look at it here, and if it's for you, well, you can get one before they run out. Now, basically, I am a little bit confused by the actual ship brochure, because it does say that there are 2 turrets, but there does seem to be only one entrance to the turret, one chair there. So, and of course it doesn't work anyway. So maybe that's a case again of it's not quite finished. Anyway, I'm sure that will be clarified further down the line. Now, we do have some luxury seats here, which are one of the differences between this Constellation and the other models. Now let's take our seat in our captain's chair. Now, some of the other specs do indicate that the Constellation Phoenix does have actually stronger weapons, although some are a little bit confusing. It definitely has a point defense battery which sits at the rear of the Phoenix, which will probably be very useful, and it certainly has a different type of shield. It has a Gorgon Defender Unbreakable, and as for the power plant on the Constellation Phoenix, it's listed in the brochure I'm reading from as 4 times hammer propulsion Hex 5.5, which is certainly a slightly different engine than the Constellation Andromeda. But of course all these are just specs and are subject to change. Now, one of the most striking features of the Phoenix is this series of windows which sits above the crew compartment. Now, we'll have a look at the crew compartment later on, but I should imagine you're going to get some really nice views of the cosmos as you fly through in your Constellation Phoenix. So they're probably going to be pretty spectacular to actually view the stars rushing by. Now, I always like to stress when I'm doing one of these ship videos to anyone who's new to Star Citizen that you don't have to splash out silly money like some of us to get into the game. All these ships, well, maybe not the Phoenix, but we don't know, can be earned in game. So you can buy a basic package and basically start earning money in the game in the persistent universe when it goes live in the distant future, and you can actually get your fleet in game. So the only reason I actually pledge for these ships is because I know it's going to take me a long time in game. I can show the ships in the video, and also I know it helps towards the development of the game. And let's face it, game development isn't cheap, and with the Star Citizen project being so ambitious, well, they've actually got a lot of employees to pay. Right, let's take a walk towards the rear of the Constellation Phoenix. As we already know, this is the seat for the turret, and obviously we're not sure. Well, I'm not sure whether there is one or two turrets, because the brochure seems to be a little bit confused on that score. Anyway, as we walk down, we can see that there's some private shower cubicles here, which sit alongside the bunk beds, which I believe double as escape pods. Now, these don't function at the moment either, so obviously later on we'll come back to check to see if they're functioning. I'm sure they will, it just given a little bit of time. Anyway, let's go through to the luxury lounge of the Phoenix. Now, of course, you can seal these doors, so that's handy in case there's ever any type of breach in one of the compartments on the ship. Now, as you can see straight away, there should be some bottles here, and to be honest, this is listed in the latest patch for Star Citizen for the hangar module that them bottles are missing, so they do know that some of these things aren't quite there, so you know, it does look like they did run out of time. Now, this is your cooking facilities. Looks like some type of fridge freezer there. So you've got all the facilities, and obviously you're all set for a party in space. And to be honest, that's what the Constellation Phoenix is. It's a luxury, well, luxury ship. It's your luxury yacht, and I'm sure maybe further down the line you might be able to configure this area maybe as a command and control centre if you want to use the ship as a command and control ship. But at the moment it is what it is. It's a luxury yacht, and although I might have come across a little bit negative earlier on, I'm fairly pleased that I've got the Constellation Phoenix, because in real life I'm never going to own a luxury yacht, but well, I've got my own luxury yacht in Star Citizen. Now, as you can see, everything really is luxurious back here. We've got a TV screen, we've got a jacuzzi, and we've got space for quite a few guests by the look of it as well. So you're going to be able to get together with your friends in Star Citizen, and basically it's going to be party time. So it's certainly going to be a really happy space journey on the Constellation Phoenix. Now, we've also got some artwork, some Picasso type paintings, and we've got the luxury bed and a little shower, I believe, there. So everything really is outfitted for luxury, totally. You know, the wooden veneers here and the wooden panelling. And let's go back through to the rear end of the Phoenix. Everything's nice and shiny here. Some scientific equipment by the look of it. It's also worth noting that the Phoenix does come with a rover, well, some type of Land Rover, and that's not available yet, but it will sit in your cargo bay, and it's called an RSI Lynx. Now, this is where you would normally get into your P-72 Archimedes, but it's actually the Merlin down there through this access tunnel here. And I've managed to manoeuvre the camera down there, and we've actually got the P-52 Merlin cockpit here, so that's all modelled, ready for it to fly eventually. So that's looking pretty nice. Obviously the P-52 Merlin is a very short range fighter, But it's certainly going to be enjoyable to fly off one of your constellations and get an external view of your main ship flying around. Right, as we exit the Phoenix, let's have a look at the cargo area. Bear in mind it's got the lowest capacity of the constellations at 540 units. But unfortunately it doesn't work yet. That's another thing which probably wasn't ready. But going across to my other constellation, I think this is the Aguera. Now this is working, so at least it'll give you the idea how the cargo loading area works on the constellations now. Obviously this takes more cargo than the Phoenix. But still, it's only going to be a matter of time before everything is working, I'm sure, on the Phoenix. Now we've got another constellation up above on the walkway in my hangar. We've got the model of the Phoenix, and it's interesting to note that it's actually got a different colour scheme. So maybe in the future we can have a different colour for the Phoenix. Well, thank you very much for watching once again, and before I feed my virtual fish here, remember, please let me know what you think, and please like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. So, until next time, I'll see you somewhere out in that ever-expanding universe of gaming, out in the verse.